Davis returns warmly. Soft voice. Gentle welcome. Are you counting the days to the holidays? He asks. Or enjoying the quiet nights more this year? He smiles. Invites listeners closer. Tell me below, he adds. I always read your messages. A warm reminder follows. Don't forget to subscribe. Our little cozy community grows with you. He leans in. The room settles. Now, let's begin tonight's mystery. Mini-hook. Tonight, something quiet in the village goes very wrong. Snow fell in steady lines. Quiet, controlled. Miss Marple stood at her cottage window, hands folded, eyes sharp. Her mind steady, alert, familiar with the village's small movements. Lanterns glowed along the lane. Simple lanterns. Enough light for a gathering, enough noise for the usual chatter. She watched villagers cross the green. Slow steps, short greetings, routine smiles. Tonight was the winter walk, a small event, a yearly comfort. Nothing complicated, nothing difficult. People arrived in pairs, some in groups, some alone. Most carried lanterns. Most looked ready to enjoy a simple night. Miss Marple noted each person, name by name, habit by habit. She always did. People change, but patterns remain. Mrs. Alder hurried past first. She always moved quickly, always late, always waving. Tonight she waved again. Her scarf slipped. She barely noticed. Normal for her. Behind her came the Hemsworth twins, laughing, pushing each other, lanterns shaking in their hands. They argued about something small. They always did. Two more neighbors followed. Quiet talk, stiff coats, soft nods, nothing unusual. Miss Marple kept watching, step after step, face after face. This part mattered. Observation always mattered. She noticed small details. A hat too low, a coat too new, a gesture too sharp. All information, all useful later. Villagers continued gathering. The vicar arrived next, carrying his list. Always the list. He checked names, counted lanterns, counted volunteers. Routine for him. Predictable. More lanterns appeared across the path, glows shifting, movements steady, voices layered, some calm, some excited. Another normal pattern. Miss Marple stepped back from the window. She prepared her coat, her scarf, her small lantern, then paused again. Habitual check. One more look outside. New faces entered the green. A few visitors, a few relatives, a few strangers. The holiday always brought outsiders. Most harmless, most forgettable. She watched Mrs. Collins adjusting her gloves, watched old Mr. Bentley rubbing his hands, watched young Clara struggling with her lantern, all ordinary. Then she saw the next group arrive. Calm steps, soft laughs, simple movements, nothing to note. At first, Miss Marple narrowed her eyes. Her attention shifted, not to the group, but to one person behind them. A woman. Name one. Late, distracted, mouth tight, eyes tense. Her steps were uneven. Her hands kept adjusting her sleeve. Her posture carried pressure, not cold, not stress, something heavier. Miss Marple leaned closer to the window. Her instincts sharpened. Name one avoided eye contact, avoided conversation, avoided standing still. She scanned the crowd, not casually, not socially, with purpose, urgent purpose. Miss Marple recognized that look, a look she'd seen before, many times, on many faces. People searching, people hiding fear, people hoping no one noticed. But Miss Marple noticed. Always. The village continued gathering. More lanterns, more steps, more familiar talk. But name one's tension changed the air. A quiet shift. A small signal. A warning. Mini-hook. But one face looked different tonight. And Miss Marple never ignored a face like that. Someone else was watching. Name one, too. Name one stepped onto the green. Slow steps. Uneven steps. Her shoulders tight. Her breath quick. Miss Marple noticed. Immediately. She always did. She scanned name one carefully. Eyes first. Wide. Alert. searching for something, or someone. A forced smile followed. Small, short, not real. The kind people use when they want questions to stop. Name one greeted two neighbors. Quick hello, quick nod. Then she turned away before they could speak again. Avoidance. Clear avoidance. Her hands shook as she adjusted her scarf. Twisted it. Untwisted it. Twisted again. Nervous habit. Miss Marple had seen that gesture before. People do it when they're hiding pressure. When something sits wrong, more villagers arrived. More noise, more lanterns. But Name One didn't look at any of them. Her gaze kept skipping around, scanning corners, scanning shadows, scanning faces she didn't want to see. Mini-hook. Something was troubling her. Miss Marple walked closer, slow, quiet, no rush, no attention. She always approached softly when someone was afraid. Name One didn't notice her at first. She looked over her shoulder instead. A sudden turn. Sharp. Too sharp for a normal evening. Then she sighed. Not with relief, with frustration. Something was wrong. Something she didn't want to explain. Not here. Not now. Miss Marple stepped beside her. Good evening, my dear. Simple. Soft. Enough to show presence. Not pressure. Name One startled slightly. Then smiled again. Another forced one. More brittle than the first. Oh, Miss Marple. Yes. Evening. Her voice cracked. Barely, but enough. Miss Marple observed the tremor, the hesitation, the guarded tone. Not grief, not illness. Something else. Name One clutched her lantern tightly, too tightly, knuckles white, as if she feared dropping it, or feared something else entirely. Busy night, Miss Marple said. Simple comment. An invitation. Name One nodded too fast. Yes, busy. Very busy. Another glance over her shoulder. Too quick. Too sharp. Not casual. Miss Marple leaned a little closer. You seem unsettled, my dear. Not an accusation. Just truth. Name One swallowed. Looked at Miss Marple, looked away again, then back. Her eyes wet, her jaw stiff. Finally she whispered, I need to talk to someone. After the event. Her voice was low, tight, pressed into one line, as if the rest of the sentence couldn't come out. Miss Marple nodded. No pushing, no questioning, just acceptance. When you're ready, she said. Name One exhaled, relief mixed with fear. The kind of relief that comes when someone finally says something they shouldn't keep inside. But she didn't say more. She stepped back, adjusted her lantern again, adjusted her coat. Mini-hook. Then she checked the crowd once more, her eyes locked onto someone behind the group. Her posture stiffened, her breath stopped. Miss Marple followed her gaze. Cliffhanger. Someone was watching Name One very closely. The lantern walk began slowly. Soft steps. Short lines of people forming across the green. Voices low. Energy warm. Predictable for a village night like this. Children moved first. Lanterns swinging. Small shouts. Simple excitement. Parents followed behind them. Neighbors gathered in clusters. Everyone distracted. Miss Marple walked with steady rhythm. Her lantern held close, her eyes moving more than her feet. She studied the group. All the usual faces, all the usual patterns, but tonight she watched Name One more closely. Name One kept shifting positions. Left side, right side, then behind another group. Avoiding eye contact, avoiding attention. Mini-hook. Fear changes a person's entire walk. The choir started a tune. Short notes. Simple harmonies. People turned toward them. Almost everyone. Not Miss Marple. Not Name One. Miss Marple saw it happen. A man stepped from the far path. No introduction. No greeting. Just a slow walk into the crowd. Name Two. Not local. That was clear. Not in the village register. Not familiar to her eyes. And Miss Marple knew every face. His coat didn't match local habits. Too stiff, too structured, worn by someone used to travel, not village errands. But the boots told the real story. Heavy tread, outer heel worn down, right heel nicked, unusual wear pattern, sharp, distinctive. Miss Marple's mind filed it instantly. A detail for later, a detail that might matter. Name 2 did not look at the lanterns. He did not watch the choir. He did not greet anyone. His eyes locked only on Name 1, not blinking, not shifting. A fixed stare. Miss Marple followed the line of sight. Her breath slowed. Her grip tightened on her lantern. This was not curiosity. This was intent. Name 1 felt it too. She kept adjusting her scarf, kept glancing left, then right, then back again. Her movement pattern changed. Predictable fear response. Miss Marple stepped a little closer. Close enough to hear Name 1's breath catch. Close enough to see her shoulders. Tense. The villagers continued forward. Laughing, talking, unaware, unbothered, unseeing. Holiday distractions covered everything. The vicar gave a small signal. The choir raised their voices. Lanterns lifted higher. Warm light spread through the line. But Miss Marple watched only 2 people now. Name 1 and Name 2. Name 1 kept looking for an exit. A path. Any route that did not involve crossing. Name 2's gaze. Name 2 kept moving closer. Step by step. Quiet. Controlled. Reading Name 1's movements. Matching them. Shadowing them. Mini-hook. Predators often stay just out of reach. The lantern walk turned toward the main lane. Villagers shifted positions. Lines tightened. The pathway narrowed. Miss Marple felt it. A tension. Small, but growing. A silent pressure behind the warm chatter. Name 2 closed the distance again. Half a step now. Maybe less. Name 1 felt him. Her lantern shook. Her hand slipped. Miss Marple leaned in. She opened her mouth to speak, to stop something, to redirect something. But the crowd moved first. Lanterns tilted. Light changed. Voices overlapped. Mini-hook line. And then the lanterns drifted into darkness, and Miss Marple lost sight of both of them. The event ended slowly. Steps scattered. Voices softened. People drifted toward their homes. Warm doorways opened. Coats shook off snow. Routine movements. Nothing unusual for them. Miss Marple stood still. Lantern low. Eyes moving across the green. She counted faces. Counted shapes. Counted distances. She always did. Groups broke apart. 2 neighbors discussed the choir. A family hurried toward the bakery corner. Children ran ahead. Parents called them back. Normal patterns. Normal noise. But one pattern broke. Name 1 wasn't among them. Miss Marple waited a moment. Then another. No sign. No movement. No familiar shape. She stepped forward. Slow. Purposeful. Scanning left. Scanning right. She checked between the lantern lines. Checked near the gate. Checked the benches. Nothing. Laughter faded behind her. Doors closed. Lights dimmed. The village settled. The night shifted into its usual winter quiet. But Miss Marple felt the gap. The missing person. The missing presence. The missing breath in the crowd. Mini-hook. Missing people create loud silence. She moved toward the lane. Her shoes crunching softly. She looked near the old oak. No Name 1. She checked the side path toward the church. Still, no Name 1. She retraced her steps. Slow, steady, deliberate. Not rushing. Rushing hides details. Name 1 should have been visible. Her coat was distinct. Her lantern was distinct. Her walk was distinct. But none of it appeared in the remaining shadows. Miss Marple paused. One simple line left her lips. People rarely vanish without purpose. Not fear, not shock, just logic. Logic sharpened by years of watching people disappear for reasons they never admit up front. She turned. Again. One more scan. Final check of the green. Still no sign. Name 1 had said, "I need to talk to someone after the event." That meant she intended to stay. She planned it. Planned to speak. Planned to explain. But now she was gone. That break in intention mattered. It always mattered. Mini-hook. Intentions reveal more than footprints. Miss Marple noticed faint movement near the far end of the path. A coat flickered behind a hedge. Too quick to identify. Too soft to confirm. But enough to unsettle the logic. She stepped toward it. Slow. No sound wasted. Her lantern shook slightly from the cold breeze. She raised it. Light spread across the lane. No figure there now. Just emptiness. But emptiness often hides what matters. Miss Marple tightened her scarf. No turning back now. Something had shifted tonight. Small shift. Important shift. A shift she recognized from many other cases. The crowd was gone. The warmth was gone. The noise was gone. Only Miss Marple remained. And the last echo of Name One's nervous voice. Mini-hook line. Miss Marple walked into the cold, alone. She felt eyes somewhere behind her. Not close, not far, just present. Someone else had vanished from the green as well. Miss Marple reached Name One's cottage quickly. Her companion followed close behind. No hesitation, no delay. Something was wrong, and both of them felt it. The cottage stood quiet, too quiet. Lights off, curtains half drawn, door unlocked. That was the first warning. Miss Marple pushed the door gently. It opened without resistance. Her companion stepped back instinctively. Miss Marple stepped forward instead. The room greeted them in fragments. Not disorder, not panic, just interruption. Everything looked paused, stopped mid-thought. 2 teacups sat on the table, one warm, one cold. The warm one held a recent sip. The cold one held time. Different temperatures, different moments, different intentions. Miss Marple touched the warm cup lightly. Not for heat, for timing. Forced departure, she murmured. Her companion nodded. He saw it too. The fire was unlit. Logs arranged. Matches ready, but untouched. Name One always lit the fire before evening walks. Not lighting it tonight meant disruption, not choice. Miss Marple crossed the room, her step steady, her eyes scanning everything. Every corner, every small clue. Name One's handbag lay beside the chair, open, not emptied, not rummaged, just left behind. Too important to forget, too obvious to ignore. Miss Marple lifted it gently. Wallet inside, keys inside, notebook inside. Nothing removed. Nothing prepared for a voluntary exit. Mini-hook. People don't leave their life behind for a walk. The chair beside the table was pulled slightly back, half used, half abandoned. A conversation had started here, or was about to, but it ended abruptly, interrupted by something Name One didn't control. Miss Marple ran her fingers across the table surface. Light dust on one side, fresh disturbance on the other. 2 sets of hands had been here, not one. Her companion moved toward the window. Curtains were pinched. Someone had checked outside. Recently. Nervously. Miss Marple turned toward the hallway. Name One's coat still hung by the door. Boots still on the mat. Lantern missing. Scarf missing. Only items likely grabbed in urgency. Taken, Miss Marple whispered. Not a guess. A conclusion. Clear and clean. The room did not show signs of a struggle. But absence often tells the strongest truth. Everything that should have been disturbed wasn't. Everything that should have moved didn't. Miss Marple walked back to the table. Her eyes narrowed at the teacups again. 2 cups. 2 people. One still warm. One left cold. Mini-hook. But the strongest clue sat quietly on the table. Her companion frowned. What clue? Miss Marple pointed at the warm cup. Fresh lipstick, she said softly. Not Name One's shade. He froze. He looked at the door. He looked at the window. Someone else had been inside this cottage minutes before the disappearance. Someone uninvited. Miss Marple lifted the cup. A fingerprint appeared along the rim. Clear, Distinct, recent. She exhaled. Not relief, recognition. The fingerprint matched a person who wasn't supposed to be in the village at all. The lich gate sat at the edge of the churchyard. A simple structure. Old wood. Cold stone beneath it. Miss Marple reached it with her companion. They had followed the path from Name One's cottage. Step by step, reason by reason. Here the snow told a different story. Not smooth, not simple, not like normal evening traffic. Her lantern light caught the first object. Name One's scarf. Half buried, yarn twisted, edges crushed into the snow. Miss Marple bent down slowly. She did not touch it at once. She looked at the knot first. "Wrong," she said quietly. Her companion glanced at her. "Wrong how?" "Name One always tied it to the side," Miss Marple replied. "Loose. Practical. She showed me once. This knot is tight, pulled to the back, fastened by someone in a hurry." She studied the fibers, the way they pulled, the way they dug into the snow. It had not simply fallen. It had been yanked. Mini hook. Things yanked away usually come with fear. Beside the scarf lay a lantern. Broken. Glass cracked. Metal frame bent inward. Miss Marple lifted it with care. "A step," she said. "Downward. Hard. Someone crushed this underfoot." Her companion frowned. "Running? Or dragging?" Miss Marple answered. She lowered the lantern and examined the ground more closely. There it was, a clear boot print beside the broken frame. Large, firm, heel worn to the outer edge. Right side nicked. Distinctive. The same pattern she had noticed earlier in the evening. The same pattern Name Two wore. She measured the depth with her eyes. "Weight carried," she said. "This person was not walking lightly. They were lifting or pulling something." Her companion followed her gaze. "Name One?" "Most likely." The snow around the print was torn. Not only footprints. Marks. Long marks. Drag marks. Miss Marple traced them with her lantern beam. The lines moved away from the gate, curving along the wall. Not straight, not smooth. Interrupted in places where the snow had filled in. She imagined the movement. A body pulled. Feet trailing. Hands useless. "This wasn't peaceful," she said. The words landed like a verdict. Simple. Fact-based. Her companion swallowed. "So she struggled?" "Briefly," Miss Marple answered. "Fear often freezes people. Only 1 or 2 seconds of fight. Enough to drop a lantern. Enough to tear a scarf." She looked back toward the main path. The villagers would have passed not far from here. Singing, talking, busy with their own thoughts. And just beyond their lanterns, this mini-hook line. The tracks didn't end there. She followed the drag marks further, past one gravestone, then another. They did not stop behind the lich gate. They curved behind the church itself. The pattern became clearer. Boot print, drag mark, boot print, again. They led toward the back corner of the churchyard, near the old woodpile, where supplies were kept locked, where only a few people held keys. Name Two was one of them. Someone with a key had used it here tonight, quietly. Miss Marple followed the drag marks behind the church. Slow steps, measured steps. Her companion stayed close. He did not speak. Silence helped. Noise hides facts. The church wall blocked most of the wind. Snow gathered in uneven lines. Perfect for tracking, perfect for reading movement. The prints moved along the stone. Careful placement. Not random. Someone had guided Name One's weight. Not. Carried. Dragged. Shift by shift. Pull by pull. Miss Marple knelt near the first deep mark. Pressed the snow lightly. Cold. Compressed. Shape familiar. "Kneeling position," she said. She was dropped here briefly. Her companion stared at the indentation. "Why stop here?" "Adjustment," Miss Marple replied. "Or checking if anyone was watching." Mini-hook. Fear always pauses before continuing. They followed the trail further, toward the woodpile, a place villagers rarely visited at night. Too dark, too quiet, too secluded. The snow behind the woodpile held the next truth. A large depression. One smooth oval. One uneven edge. Miss Marple touched the outline gently. A body-shaped imprint, she said. Recent. Very recent. Her companion crouched beside her. So she was placed here? Yes. Not laid. Placed. She could see it in the way the edges sank. Someone held her for a moment. Let go. Then lifted again. Miss Marple moved her lantern closer. A glove sat near the imprint. Small. Familiar. The same pale stitching name one always wore. But the glove placement mattered more. It was not dropped carelessly. It was pressed into the snow, held there, forced there. The imprint of a heavy hand marked the top. She fought here, Miss Marple said quietly. A short fight. Her companion swallowed. She must have screamed. No, Miss Marple answered. If she had screamed, someone would have turned, even with the choir singing. This was fast. She checked the woodpile itself. Some logs had shifted. One angled outward, one half buried in snow. Marks on the edge. Scratches. Threads. She pinched the threads between her fingers. Same shade as name one's scarf. Same texture. The scarf was torn here, she said, more violently than before. Her companion looked around. So they hid her here first? Yes. Only for a moment. But it was long enough for something. Miss Marple stood perfectly still. She listened to the air, to the silence, to what the movement suggested. Someone needed more time, she said, and took it. Minnie Hook. Someone had planned more than a simple abduction. She followed the footprints again, past the woodpile, toward the small maintenance shed. Its door was closed. Snow piled against it. But something felt wrong. Miss Marple brushed her hand across the latch. Warm. Someone had touched it not long ago. Her companion leaned forward. You think she was inside? Not for long, Miss Marple said, but long enough to hide her while deciding the next step. She knelt and inspected the snow under the doorframe. Pressed down. Soft. Recently disturbed. The drag marks continued beyond the shed. Not straight. Curved. Deliberate. She raised her lantern. Its light found a new trail. Long. Broken. Pulled toward the far corner of the churchyard. And at the end of that trail, another set of footprints joined the first. Miss Marple moved back toward the church path. Not rushing, not slowing, just steady. She needed the next part of the puzzle. Her companion followed. He trusted her instincts. He didn't ask questions. Questions would come later. Miss Marple reached the notice board. Simple wooden frame, pinned papers, village updates, committee postings. Most villagers walked past without reading. Miss Marple never walked past anything. She scanned the sheets one by one. Times, dates, names, totals, handwriting samples. Patterns. Her eyes stopped at the charity fund ledger summary. Numbers in neat columns. Names under signatures. Totals written. Totals rewritten. And there it was. The inconsistency. Small. Precise. But undeniable. A total scratched out. Replaced with a higher number. Then that number overwritten with a lower one. 3 hands in one line. 3 intentions in one figure. Miss Marple leaned in. Her companion followed her gaze. You recognize something? Yes, she said quietly. Name one's handwriting. Only in the first total. And the other 2? Not hers. These were added after. Minnie Hook. Numbers often tell more lies than people do. Miss Marple traced the ink with her eyes. Not fresh, but recent. Within days. Maybe hours. She checked the signature sheet next. A list of committee approvals. Name one's signature at the top. Neat. Accurate. Then 3 more signatures below it. Almost identical. Too identical. Too smooth. No hesitation lines. No pressure variation. Not natural. Not genuine. Forged, Miss Marple said. Her voice firm. Fact, not guess. Her companion blinked. All of them? 2 for certain, she replied. Possibly the third. Whoever signed these was copying shapes, not writing from habit. She checked the donation totals next. 3 large entries circled, 2 marked received, 1 marked pending, but the pending amount had been erased once, then replaced, then erased again. Someone was hiding money, she said. A small amount first, then more. Then they tried to put it back, but the gaps never matched the deposits. Her companion frowned. Did name one know? Yes, and she planned to speak tonight, after the event. Miss Marple tapped the signature page again. The forgery points to someone with access to committee papers, someone trusted, someone who believed no one would check the figures. She stepped back, adjusted her scarf, thought through the list. Treasurer, name 3. Assistant, name 4. Committee organizer, name 5. Stranger involved in preparation, name 2. All 4 had access, Miss Marple said, and all 4 were near. Name 1 tonight. Minnie Hook. And every suspect had been there that night. She looked toward the village hall. Lights still on, documents inside, people inside too. Possibly someone watching her every movement. Her companion lowered his voice. What do we do now? We verify the missing money, she said, and we check who handled the books last. She took a step toward the hall, then stopped. Her lantern pointed downward. Fresh boot prints, not deep, but deliberate. The same heel wear, the same distinctive nick, leading away from the notice board, leading toward the back entrance of the hall. Someone had been listening, someone had walked away too quickly, and those prints matched only one person in the entire village. Miss Marple entered the vicarage office quietly. Her companion closed the door behind them. The room felt recently used, recently disturbed, not in chaos, just unsettled. Miss Marple scanned the desk first. Always the desk. Always the starting point. She noticed the ink blot immediately, a dark smudge on the right corner, small, fresh, pressed by a finger or sleeve. She touched the edge lightly. Ink still tacky, meaning recent activity, meaning someone had handled the papers after name 1 left the office earlier. She moved to the center. A torn paper lay beneath a stack, half a page, edges ripped. Lines cut mid-sentence. Someone had removed the rest, in a hurry, too fast for clean tearing. Minnie Hook. Haste reveals guilt faster than confession. Her companion held the lantern close. Another missing ledger page? Not ledger, Miss Marple said softly. Correspondence. A letter. One name 1 wrote today. How do you know? She always used this paper, this ink, this spacing, and she placed finished letters in that slot. Miss Marple pointed to the empty slot. The space spoke louder than any words. A missing letter. A missing piece of her intent. She turned toward the shelf, her eyes fixed on a small ornament near the ledgers. A wooden figure, now broken. A clean snap along the base. Not dropped. Not mishandled. Snapped during a struggle. She lifted the broken piece gently. A thin groove marked one side. Grabbed, Miss Marple said, used for balance or defense. Her companion swallowed. So she resisted here too? For one moment, Miss Marple said. But only one. She was surprised, or outmatched. She stepped closer to the desk again. A single sheet lay under a book, partially hidden, only the corner visible, the edge curled, recently pulled, recently placed. She pulled it free. A faint fingerprint smudged the margin. Not old, not faint from time. Fresh. Pressed during panic, Miss Marple examined it under the lantern. Wide ridge pattern. Clear angles. Not name 1's, not the vicar's, not the assistant's. This fingerprint belonged to someone who should not have been in the office today. Minnie Hook. Someone panicked and left a mistake behind. Miss Marple set the sheet down. She walked to the window. Curtains slightly moved. Not by wind. Pulled back by someone checking the path. Before or after the confrontation, she checked the latch. Unlocked. Name 1 always. Locked windows while working. Always. Her companion looked around. So the confrontation happened here? Yes. This afternoon, before the lantern walk, Name One discovered the forgery. She confronted the one responsible. They argued. She wrote a letter. She hid part of it. They saw her hide it. They tore it out. They snapped the ornament. They left the ink smudge. They fled before the vicar returned. Miss Marple lowered her voice. But they missed something. She moved to the far corner of the room. A cabinet sat half open, barely noticeable, but not to her. She pulled it open fully. Inside, one drawer was ajar. Inside that drawer, a document was tucked sideways. Wrong angle, wrong placement, wrong order. Someone had shoved it back quickly. Too quickly. Miss Marple slid it out. Her eyes sharpened. This was the missing financial summary. The one Name One planned to reveal tonight. She tapped the signature column. One name stood out. Wrong pressure, wrong smoothness. Forged. And the forged name belonged to someone with a perfect alibi. Or so they claimed. Miss Marple began with the treasurer. Name Three stood stiffly near the village hall fireplace, hands clasped too tight, eyes darting. Trying to look calm, but failing. Busy night, Miss Marple said. Simple start. No pressure. Yes. Name Three replied quickly. Too quickly. Very busy. The accounts, the choir, the lanterns, everything. Miss Marple nodded once. You handled the charity funds today. Name Three swallowed. A pause, a hesitation, then a forced smile. Yes. Routine work. Miss Marple watched the jaw tighten. A classic sign. People lie through their jaws before their words. Routine, Miss Marple repeated. Her tone light, but her eyes sharp. Name Three shifted. Looked at the window, looked at the door, anywhere but at her. Mini hook. Half-truths always start with routine. Miss Marple moved to Name Four next. The helper. Nervous. Breath fast. Hands fidgeting with a button. Where were you during the lantern walk? Miss Marple asked. With the choir, Name Four said. Mostly. Then I think I helped with the lantern table. Maybe both. Maybe? Name Four looked down. I wasn't watching the time. That was a lie. People always remember where they stand when things feel off. The helper was hiding something. Not everything. Just enough. Miss Marple let the silence press. Silence works better than accusation. Name Four's foot tapped. A steady rhythm. Nervous guilt. Next was Name Five. The doctor. Calm face. But tension around the eyes. You were near the vicarage this afternoon? Miss Marple asked. Yes, Name Five replied. Delivering a letter for the vicar. He wasn't in. I left it on the table. Miss Marple watched the doctor's hands. Steady, but too steady. Forced. Steadiness. Controlled steadiness. Did you speak to Name One today? A blink. Short. Fast. Barely noticeable. No, Name Five said. Another lie. A small one. A dangerous one. Miss Marple said nothing. Silence again. Doctors hate silence. It forces truth to surface in small cracks. Name Five looked away first, always the tell. Then she turned to Name Two, the stranger, the one with the boots. He waited near the back wall, arms crossed, posture stiff, eyes cold. You are visiting the village? Miss Marple asked. Yes, he said. Short visit, passing through. Yet you attended the lantern walk. I followed the crowd, thought it was public. Miss Marple studied his boots. Snow melted around the base. Fresh residue. Wrong pattern for the path he claimed to use. Mini hook. One answer didn't match the snow outside. She stepped closer. Did you speak to Name One tonight? No. Flat. Immediate. Prepared. Too prepared. Miss Marple lowered. Her lantern. Light hit the heel of his right boot. The distinctive nick. The same mark from the lich gate. The same mark from behind the church. He shifted his weight. He realized. She noticed. His jaw clenched. His shoulders rose. Her companion stepped forward. Instinctive protection. Miss Marple raised her hand slightly. No need, she murmured. Her eyes never left. Name 2. She asked one final question. A small question, a sharp one. What time did your boots leave the main path? Name 2 froze. 1 second. 2, 3. His silence answered everything. And Miss Marple knew now which suspect was lying the most and why. Miss Marple stepped closer to name 2. Slow, controlled. Her lantern lowered just enough to catch the details that mattered. The boots. Always the boots. She crouched slightly. Her eyes examined the heel first. Outer edge worn down. Sharp angle. Consistent with the drag marks near the lich gate. She tilted her lantern. Light hit the right. Heel. There it was. The unique nick. A small cut in the rubber. Clean. Distinct. Impossible to mistake for another pair. Miss Marple straightened, her face calm, her mind already 3 steps ahead. "May I see your boots for a moment?" she asked. Polite. Soft. But direct. Name 2 stiffened. His weight shifted. A defensive instinct. "Why?" he asked. Too defensive. Too quick. Miss Marple didn't change her tone. "Snow patterns," she said. "Just a comparison." He hesitated. Only a second. But a second was enough. "Fine," he muttered. He lifted one foot reluctantly. She examined the sole. The tread pattern matched the print behind the church. Perfect match. No doubt. No guessing. Her companion saw it too. He inhaled sharply. Name 2 heard it. He lowered his foot quickly. "You finished?" he asked. Voice tight. Too tight. Miss Marple nodded slowly. Then she reached toward his coat. Not touching it. Just pointing. A thin layer of snow clung to the lower hem. Fresh. Not melted. Not old. "Did you walk behind the church tonight?" she asked. No. Instant answer. Wrong answer. If he had taken the main lane as he claimed, the snow would have melted indoors, or brushed off during the lantern walk. But this snow was from untouched ground. Behind the church. Near the woodpile. Near the drag marks. Name 2 looked away. Miss Marple remained steady, unmoved. Mini hook. The snow always told the truth, even when people did not. She took a step back and looked him over again. The small details. Posture rigid, jaw tight, shoulders angled. All signs of someone preparing for something. Something fast. Something final. Then she saw it. A packed bag near the hall door. Plain. Dark. Half hidden behind a chair. Not a villager's bag. Not from the evening event. A travel bag. Ready to go. Straps buckled. Sides bulging. The kind people carry when leaving without saying goodbye. Her eyes returned. To name 2. He followed her gaze. His jaw tightened further. He stepped slightly in front of the bag. A protective move. A revealing move. "Planning to leave soon?" Miss Marple asked softly. "No. Just keeping my things nearby." Another lie. Weak this time. Unprepared. She stepped even closer. "Name 2, she said. "Your boots match every print at the seams. Your coat carries snow from a place you claim you never walked. And your timeline does not match the lantern walk. Not even slightly." He opened his mouth to reply. No words came out. Just silence. Heavy silence. Mini hook line. And name 2 was already preparing to leave the village. Miss Marple lifted the lantern higher. Its light hit his face fully now. No shadows left to hide in. No path to slip away. Her companion stepped forward. Ready. Alert. Name 2's eyes darted to the door. A dangerous flicker. A measured glance. A decision forming. He wasn't planning to answer her. He was planning to run. The constable arrived within minutes. Short stride. Serious face. Snow still on his sleeves. Miss Marple greeted him calmly. No panic. No drama. Just the facts. "We know more now," she said. "Much more." The constable nodded. "I heard name 2 tried leaving." "Yes," Miss Marple replied. "And for good reason." She motioned him closer. Her companion stepped aside. Miss Marple spoke with quiet precision. She always saved noise for people who needed noise. The constable needed clarity. "First," she said, "the motive." The constable listened. eyes fixed, jaw set. Name one discovered charity fraud. Numbers altered, totals rewritten, signatures forged. Someone feared exposure. The constable exhaled slowly. Who? Name two had the most to lose, Miss Marple said. But I'm not finished. She pointed toward the vicarage. Name one confronted someone in the office. There was a struggle. A letter torn. A document taken. Ink smeared. A fresh fingerprint left behind. The constable nodded grimly. That explains the panic. Miss Marple raised one finger. Second. Footprints. She led him toward the back path. Boot marks pressed deep, snow still holding the pattern. The heel wear is distinct, she said. Angled outward. Right heel nicked. Every print at the lich gate and behind the church matches only one pair. Name twos. The constable bent down, ran a finger along the edge. He stood again, face colder now, more certain. Miss Marple continued. Third, the movement path. She traced it in the snow, piece by piece, scene by scene. The drag marks start at the lich gate, move behind the church, stop at the woodpile, resume near the shed. The pattern repeats. Lift, drop, drag, hide. The constable followed each point with his eyes. It formed a line, a crude line, a desperate line. Name one was hidden twice, Miss Marple said. Briefly, just enough to buy the culprit time. And then moved again. The constable murmured. Yes, because name one intended to speak after the event. The culprit knew the timing. They needed the crowd loud. Needed distractions. Needed shadows behind lantern lights. Minnie Hook. Miss Marple's tone sharpened. Why else choose a night when everyone's attention was facing forward? The constable swallowed. So, name two waited for the choir to start. Exactly. The moment the voices rose, the struggle began. Quick, quiet, calculated. Miss Marple handed him the broken ornament piece. And this confirms the confrontation began hours earlier. The constable turned the piece in his hand, eyes narrowing. He understood now. She stepped closer. Think of the path we followed. We checked name one's cottage, the lich gate, the churchyard, the shed, the woodpile. She paused. Let silence add weight. Every place used for hiding, she said, except one. The constable looked up sharply. Which one? Miss Marple lifted her lantern. Light struck the far corner of the churchyard, a narrow structure, small, overlooked, barely used. Minnie Hook line. Only one place was left unchecked. The constable inhaled. Recognition hit him hard. He stepped forward quickly. That place is locked, he said. Only two people have keys. Miss Marple nodded. And one of them is named too. The constable gripped his coat. Muscles tense. Voice sharper now. Then that's where we start. Miss Marple didn't answer. She didn't need to. The truth was pulling them forward. They walked together. Slow, focused, lantern light steady. A faint sound came from behind the locked door. The constable forced the lock. A short snap. A clean break. He pushed the door open. Miss Marple raised her lantern. The room was empty. Completely empty. No movement, no footprints. Just dust. Just cold air. He didn't use this one, the constable said. Miss Marple nodded. Her eyes moved across every corner. No dragged marks. No sudden shifts. No sign of name one. Then we keep going, she said. They stepped back outside. Snow pressed under their feet. Tracks curved toward the next building. The barn. They entered quietly. Miss Marple checked the floor first. Hay scattered. Marks in two patches. Not caused by animals. Too controlled. Too straight. Someone pulled weight along here, she murmured. The constable crouched. He brushed the hay aside. Two faint lines appeared. The same drag spacing from behind the church. She was here, he said. Miss Marple nodded once. Minnie Hook. Fear had left its trail even where footprints hid. They moved to the stable next. Horses shifted inside. Nervous, restless, sensing something unfamiliar. Miss Marple walked stall to stall, checking the floor. checking the walls, checking the edges where things get pushed aside. She found a scuff mark, just one, low, sharp, at knee height. She bumped here, Miss Marple said, or was pushed here. The constable tightened his grip on the lantern. Still alive, then? Yes, Miss Marple said, and moved again. They followed more tracks, leading behind the stable, straight toward the cart shed. The door hung partly open, not broken, not unlocked, just not fully closed. The constable stepped in first. Miss Marple followed. The shed held several carts. One had been shifted recently. The wheel tracks were fresh. Not from use. From being pushed aside, Miss Marple walked behind it. A glove lay in the corner. Not Name One's glove, a worker's glove, but useful. Someone had grabbed it while handling something heavy. Name Two tried covering his hands, she said. Too late. Some prints are already on the vicarage papers. They checked the walls, checked behind the planks. Name One wasn't here either. The trail continued. To the tool shed, a narrow building, rarely used. The constable pulled the door open. Hard. It stuck halfway. Frozen hinges. Inside, tools hung neatly, perfect order, except one spot. A hammer missing. A rope twisted. A crate shifted. Miss Marple pointed. Struggle here. Short. Rushed. The constable scanned the ground. Then he froze. There, he whispered. Another set of footprints. Small. Light. Name One's. They were faint. Barely pressed. But they were there. Proof she had been there alive. Standing for at least a moment. Mini-hook. Hope survived in the smallest indent. The trail turned again. Toward the oldest building. The storage rooms. Unused for years. Doors warped. Locks rusted. The constable tried the first one. Empty. He tried the second. Empty again. A third door creaked open. Dust. Cobwebs. Nothing more. Then the fourth door. The heaviest. The darkest. Barely cracked open. Miss Marple lifted her lantern. Her light pressed into the brood. Gap. And behind the last door, she whispered. Silence. Thick. Motionless. Watching. Something inside was blocking the light. Something that had moved recently. The constable pushed the heavy door fully open. The lantern light reached the far corner. Miss Marple stepped forward. Slow. Careful. Focused. A small shape moved. Just once. Just enough. Name One? Miss Marple asked softly. Her voice steady. No alarm. No pressure. A faint reply came back. Weak. Shaken. But alive. Yes. Here. The constable rushed inside. He cut through old ropes. Rough knots. Forced tight. Pulled tighter in panic. Name One's hands trembled. Skin marked. Cold. But not injured. Miss Marple helped her sit up. Her coat slipped off one shoulder. She pulled it back gently. You're safe now, Miss Marple said. Calm tone. Grounding tone. Exactly what Name One needed. Name One breathed unevenly. Short bursts. Fear still sitting in her chest. Miss Marple held her, hand lightly. Not firm. Not heavy. Just steady. What happened? The constable asked. But Miss Marple raised her hand. No questions yet. Stability first. Answers after. She guided Name One toward the lantern light. Slow steps. Unsteady feet. A long shiver moved through her. You were moved 3 times, Miss Marple said. Do you remember each? Name One nodded. Barely. First, behind the church, she whispered. Then the shed. Then here. Always rushed. Miss Marple listened closely. Her eyes watched every detail. How the words came out. Where Name One looked. What she avoided. The constable checked the rest of the room. No one else inside. No tools disturbed. No second exit. Name Two had locked her in. Left her in the cold. Expected to return. Expected silence to finish the job. Miss Marple helped Name One sit on an overturned crate. The wood creaked. Name One steadied herself. You confronted someone in the office, Miss Marple said, quietly. That's where it began. Name One swallowed. Her eyes widened slightly. Yes. I showed the ledger page. Said the numbers were wrong. Said I would speak tonight. And he reacted fast? Miss Marple asked. Name one nodded. Very fast. Tried to take the page. I grabbed it back. That's when the ornament broke. Miss Marple nodded once. Every detail matched the scene. Every mark confirmed the sequence. And then, he followed me outside, said we needed to talk, said it would be quick. Miss Marple glanced at the constable. They both knew what quick meant in a night like this. Name one took another breath. Shaky. Slow. I didn't think he'd drag me away. Didn't think he'd hide me. Didn't think... Miss Marple squeezed her hand gently. Enough reassurance to steady the next sentence. You saw his face clearly? Miss Marple asked. Soft question. Sharp purpose. Name one. Hesitated. Just for a moment. Then nodded. Yes, I saw everything. Mini hook. Name one whispered one final detail. She leaned closer to Miss Marple. Barely audible. Barely formed. It wasn't supposed to be him, she whispered. He wasn't acting alone. Miss Marple stilled. The constable froze. A new layer formed instantly. A wider plan. A second hand. A deeper danger. And name one revealed the next target, someone still outside, completely unaware. Name two stood near the hall doorway. Bag ready. Coat buttoned. Breath uneven. He planned to leave the village in minutes. The constable blocked the exit. No one leaves, he said. Voice firm. No negotiation. Name two lifted his hand slightly. Is this necessary? I've done nothing wrong. A weak start. Too weak. Miss Marple stepped forward. Calm. Precise. Methodical. Let's review, she said. Her tone soft. Her words sharp. First, the sequence of events. She pointed to the lantern table. You approached name one during the walk. You waited for the music to rise. You waited for the crowd to face forward. Name two shifted. Coincidence, Miss Marple continued. Second, the forgery. She held up the financial summary. Your signature is on a page you never signed, because you didn't write it. You copied it. Badly. Name two's jaw tightened. That proves nothing. Miss Marple ignored the interruption. Third, boot prints. She pointed toward the door. Every print behind the church. Every drag mark at the shed. Every track at the lich gate. All from your boots. Same heel wear. Same nick. Same stride length. The constable nodded. He had seen the proof himself. Name two swallowed. Still searching for a lie strong enough to hold. Miss Marple moved closer. Fourth, the broken lantern. She held the bent hinge. This was crushed by a heavy boot. Your boot. Right heel. Exact pressure mark. Name two looked away. His silence grew heavier. Fifth, the scarf knot, Miss Marple said. She held up the recovered scarf. Name one never tied knots like this, but you did. We saw one on your own bag. Name two stepped back. One step, just one. Enough to show fear. Miss Marple didn't pause. Sixth, the vicarage ink evidence. She held the torn letter fragment. A fresh fingerprint. Yours. Ink still tacky when we found it. Meaning you were inside the office this afternoon. The constable stepped forward. Enough, he said. Name two. You're under arrest. Name two raised his voice. You're making a mistake. I didn't hurt her. I only meant to scare her. That's all. Miss Marple shook her head. You didn't act alone. Name one confirmed it. You were covering for someone else. Someone who set all of this in motion. Name two froze. Too fast. Too sharp. A confession hidden behind stillness. The constable took his arms, locked the cuffs, read the formal words. Name two barely reacted. He had been expecting this moment, almost waiting for it. Villagers gathered at the door, faces confused, faces frightened, faces angry. The constable led name two into the snow. Miss Marple watched quietly, eyes steady, mind turning. Mini hook. But one thing still bothered Miss Marple. She looked back toward the storage rooms, toward the office, toward the untouched pile of papers. Something didn't add up. Not yet, not fully. One piece of the puzzle remained out of place, and it pointed to someone no one had suspected. Miss Marple gathered the constable and named one inside the hall. Her tone stayed calm, precise, measured. Name one was targeted because she noticed the altered totals, she said. She asked questions, and she planned to speak tonight. That made her dangerous. The constable nodded. So name two acted first. Miss Marple shook her head. Not first, but fastest. He feared exposure. He feared she would show the forged pages. She turned to name one. You saw the numbers. You saw the shifted signatures. You saw the pending total changed twice. Name one nodded weakly. Miss Marple continued. The culprit chose the crowded event for one reason. Noise, movement, distraction, a perfect cover. Everyone looking at lanterns, not footsteps. She pointed toward the door. And that's why your cottage mattered. 2 teacups, warm and cold. You were not alone. He confronted you there first. The constable exhaled. And the motive? Simple, Miss Marple said. Money. Small amounts at first, then larger, hidden under community goodwill. She paused. Mini-hook. Human nature rarely surprises Miss Marple, but tonight it almost did. Because one detail still didn't fit. Not yet. Not safely. A single lantern glowed on the table. Soft. Steady. Unmoving. Beside it lay a folded note. Edges crisp. Ink still dark. A message saved. A truth preserved. Snow drifted past the cottage window. Slow flakes. Quiet rhythm. No urgency now. Only calm. Inside, a teacup rested on the wooden tray. Steam fading. Heat slipping away. Peace returning one breath at a time. Miss Marple stood near the window. Hands folded. Mind easing. Another mystery closed. Another secret placed back into silence. The lantern flickered gently. Not warning. Not calling. Just holding the final moment. The folded note stayed untouched, its meaning known, its weight understood. A stillness filled the room. Light. Simple. Complete. Mini-hook. Truth settles slowly, like snow. Davis returns warmly. Soft voice. Gentle smile. Thank you for listening tonight, he says. I hope the clues kept you close. He leans in slightly. As always, tell me one thing. Which clue stood out to you first? And where are you listening from tonight? He invites comments. He reads them all. A small tease follows. Tomorrow's mystery begins with a locked drawer and one missing key. He closes softly. Tomorrow, another kettle will boil.